Hebrew Israelite names. That's why you have Timothy, Titus, and many others that had Greek names. Alexander, he was Apollos. So you had Israelite parents that were giving their children Greek names, and they wasn't circumcising themselves. That's why there was a big controversy with Timothy about getting circumcised. Go ahead.
It says, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward therein that they went to the king.
The people that were so forward were these Israelites. Go ahead.
Who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen.
That's why when you see these old vases of the Olympic Games, what do you see? You see tall Israelite men, butt-ass naked, throwing a discus or throwing a spear or running or a javelin or something like that. Because they dominated those games. Just like they dominate the games today. Go ahead.
And made themselves uncircumcised.
And made themselves uncircumcised. How did they make themselves uncircumcised? By not circumcising their children. And their children not circumcising their children. And speaking Greek. And calling themselves by Greek names. And eating Greek foods. And following Greek gods. Go ahead.
And forsook the holy covenant.
And forsook so when you forsake all of that, guess what? Who you gonna follow? The other nations, the customs of that other. If you move to among the Elamites, you're gonna pick up on the custom of the Elamites. You should praise the Most High that the Most High set up his men, which are GMS. Go ahead.
It says, and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief.
And that's why they were being called heathen and Gentiles. And sold themselves to doing what? Mischief. Now let's go from there to the same chapter, same book, the 41st verse to the 53rd verse.
Right. This is verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave.
That's your new world order right there. Your one world government. Go ahead.
And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandments of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath.
So if they were doing all that, were they going around calling themselves Israelites? Hell no. They were calling themselves Greeks.
They couldn't call themselves Israelites.
It was against the law to call yourself an Israelite, or to teach your children that you were Israelites. Go ahead.
For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifices and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and the holy people. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and
that's your churches. Read that again.
And pollute the sanctuary and holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols.
So when you came over here to serve slavery, these churches, these Christian churches, these Baptist churches and Lutheran churches and all the Methodist churches, these were churches in a form of Christianity that Esau set up, man. The so-called Puritans that came from England, that set up the colonies, they brought them church. There was church system from England, man, which came from the Roman Catholic Church. Go ahead.
And sacrifice swine's flesh.
Read again.
Set up altars and pollute the sanctuary and holy people.
That's why when you go where Jake is, I guarantee you're gonna find a whole bunch of churches, man. Where you have a whole influx of Jake, go down south. You got a church on every corner, man. You got churches all over the place. Go ahead.
Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh. And
all them people in the churches, they eat pork. And they tell you that there's nothing wrong with pork. And then when you show them, what is that, Leviticus, the 11th chapter, they'll say what? Oh, the Old Testament is done away with. And we under grace. Which I can cut that real quick. Go ahead.
And unclean beasts.
Right, shrimp, frog legs, possum, squirrel, alligator, There's all kind of unclean foods, but they'll go to church. They'll have fish Fridays and cook catfish, which is an unclean fish. That's why the Most High going to destroy these niggas in the church. Ain't no sincere people in the church. All them niggas in the church are wicked as hell, man. Because if you were sincere, you would find the truth. You got the Bible in front of you. Go ahead.
It says that they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. In the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city.
So they had guys walking around seeing that if you said to your children, you know you're a Judite, don't say nothing. Well, bring this woman to court. Okay, chop her head off because she taught her child, and we pulled down the child's pants and he was circumcised. So kill the child too. That's why you got the Gentiles. That's why there was such a big controversy with Paul trying to wake up the Gentiles, which were Israelites. Go ahead.
Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, every one that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land. Verse 53. And drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for succor.
Yeah, these were the ones that you had Israelites that were fleeing so they can keep the laws. Now go from there to 1 Maccabees, the 2nd chapter, and the 44th verse.
2nd Maccabees?
I'm sorry, 1 Maccabees, the 2nd chapter, and the 44th verse.
First Maccabees 2 and 44. So they joined their forces and smote sinful men in their anger and wicked men in their wrath, but the rest fled to the heathen for succor.
Now let's go from there to second. Let's go to 2nd Maccabees, the 4th chapter, the 9th verse to the 13th verse. We might read a couple of verses beyond that. The key point is in the 9th verse to the 13th verse. 2nd Maccabees 4 verses 9.
All right, 2nd Maccabees 4 and 9. Beside this, he promised to assign 150 more, if he might have license to set him up a place for exercise and for the training up of youth in the fashions.
These youth were Israelites. Like today, you got Pop Warner football. That's part of the Greek, the Greek spirit, the Greco-Roman spirit. Although they didn't have football back there, but that whole program is an ancient Greek Greco-Roman program. They never had basketball back there, but that's a Greco-Roman style program. That's why when you play these games, where do you play them? In coliseums. What they call them today? Arenas. And certain of them look just like the Roman Coliseum. Like I noticed something too, when you watch these Roman movies and you see how the Roman soldiers, they set up in formation and they have those shields. Now all around the world, when you have them riot police, they have the same shields. They're set up in the same formation as the ancient Romans. So this is the Roman Empire all over again. Go ahead.
If he might have license to set him up a place of exercise and for the training up of youth in the fashions of the heathen, and to write.
And the training up the youth in the fashions of the heathen, the ways of the heathen, the dress of the heathen, the talk of the heathen, the food of the heathen, the mindset of the heathen. These youths were Israelites. So they started them off when they were young. That's why you get a lot of these clowns that go to the military because their fathers tell them to join ROTC. When you join ROTC, that's setting your ass up to go to the damn military, man. Go ahead.
It says, and for the training up of the youth in the fashion of the heathen, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians. So they couldn't call themselves Jews anymore. That's Greeks. Which when the king had granted, and he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to the Greekish fashion, and the royal privileges granted of special favor to the Jews by the means of John, the father of Eupolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for amity and aid. He took away and putting down the government which were according to the law, he brought up new customs against the law. For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. Verse 13. Now such was the height of Greek fashions. Excuse me.
That's why you got these niggas out here that are proud to wear a 3-piece suit or a 2-piece suit with the tie. You know, they'll make movies on a nigga, and he gets up, he puts that suit on, and he does that